you guys, how are you doing? No, I don't wear the same thing every day. I'm filming this one right after another. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about Shane Dawson had posted a video about a guy named Kirk Galvin that he went to school with who ended up committing a I want to be careful what I say because I keep getting demonetized. He committed a M-U-R-D-E-R. I know that their algorithm like picks up certain words. And that inspired me to kind of tell you guys a story about somebody who was very near and dear to me. It's a really, really, really sad story, but I feel like I do not want this girl to have passed in vain. Let me just start from the beginning, actually. When I was younger and I used to get into a lot of trouble, I went to jail when I was pregnant, and I met this girl in there. Her name was Catherine Sieber. Everybody told me, they were like, stay away from her, like, she's a murderer, she killed her great-grandma, she is a horrible person, she's psycho. But I like to judge people on my own. I don't, and I'm glad that I made this choice. Now, Catherine Sieber was arrested on a murder charge back in, let me even see, I'm gonna have to look up a little bit of the facts for you guys while I'm doing this. I want to make sure that everything is correct, and as you guys know, I'm never fully prepared. Let's see. She was from Saratoga County. Let's see. Now, she was arrested in, well, let's see, in 2013, or in 2012, she had already served about 12 years. So it must have happened in about 2011. No, that doesn't, what? 2011. But it must have been in about 2000. Anyways, I digress. So she was charged with murdering her great-grandmother. And at this point, she was in high school, and she was a great student, and she fought and fought and fought and said, I did not kill her, I did not kill her. This was her story, okay? And this is her story she told me personally. Her and a guy she was dating at the time, they went over to her great-grandmother's house, and they were just sitting in the room, hanging out, and her boyfriend at the time said he had to go to the bathroom. So he went to the bathroom, and he was taking a while, and she went to go and look for him. And when she found him, he was inside the grandmother's room going through her jewelry. So she was like, dude, like, you know, like, what are you doing? You need to stop, get out of her room, like, that's not okay. And the guy was like, in the middle of like trying to steal her stuff. And now this guy apparently was on parole, he was a bad influence, but you know what? Catherine was young, and love makes you blind. So basically she flipped out and was like screaming at him. The great-grandma heard it and threatened to call the cops, and he's like, I am not going back to jail, I'm not going back to jail. He like started attacking the great-grandma. So Catherine took the phone, it was a cordless phone, and she was panicking, and she like tried to like I think, what did she say? This was years ago when she told me this story, so I have to try and remember. I think she ended up running outside because she was afraid, like out front, to call the cops because she didn't want him to like hear her calling the cops and attack her. So she ran out, tried to call the cops. When she went to go back in, he had locked her out. Okay, so she's running around the house, trying to get back in, Finally, he opens the door for her. She gets inside and sees that he had strangled her grandma with a phone cord. At this point, she's like young and shocked, doesn't know what to do. The boyfriend forced her, which at this point, she's young, she's in shock. She had already called the cops. The cops were on their way, didn't know what was going on. Like at this point, the cops didn't know that anyone had been murdered. They just knew that there was like a dispute at the house. So he ended up like taping her, putting her in the trunk, putting her like in the body in the trunk and making Catherine help him. And she was like petrified, didn't know what to do. And this is where things start to get crazy. Is they found the body pretty much immediately, because like Catherine had already called the cops. I mean, so you could tell right away, like just by the fact that she called the cops, something like, why would she call? And then she calls the cops on a dispute between them all, and then she murders her after. It just doesn't make sense. Anyways, she ends up being charged with the murder. Because the forensic scientist said that her gloves that she was wearing were all over the tape and all over the phone cord, like the fibers that they used to tie her up, whatever. Now you need to remember the gloves and the tape, very important. So when I met her, she had already spent 12 years in prison, and she was back on an appeal because she kept trying to appeal her case. She was fighting it, saying, I did not do this, I did not do this. Finally, the forensic scientist stepped forward and said, I took her gloves, I took the girl's gloves and patted them on the tape myself because I could not pin. The forensic scientist committed suicide. After, so basically he admitted that he did that he framed this girl. Half of her life was taken away from her because she went to prison for it. She was immediately released because he admitted that he had tampered with the evidence. And then he killed himself out of, I'm sure, regret, which is very sad, but she ended up being released. And this is where things get really crappy. So this girl was a straight A student. She ended up wasting half of her life in prison for a crime that she didn't commit. And then when she gets out of prison, she moves to the city to start a new life and is murdered herself. Not even that much later. She had a boyfriend who was crazy, and he literally slashed her to death. And like, I was talking to her just like a couple days before this happened. This girl was one of the kindest girls. I'll show you a picture of her. She was very kind. You can find pictures of her on hold on, let me see if I can, I see I'm not ready. You can find her Facebook still online, and she's still on there, but it's just sad because her life was cut so short after so much of it was wasted. I can't imagine being framed for a crime that I didn't commit and then finally having my freedom to have my life taken. You know, it's very sad. It's very sad, and the worst part is that she was branded a murderer for so long, and you know, that's not just a reputation you can easily just get rid of, you know what I mean? And it sucks because it's like, after half of her life was taken away from jail, and you can tell, like, she's just not a murderer. This was pictures of her before or after she finally got out. You can tell she was happy, she was like healthy, living a good life, she finally was able to like have, and I think her mom had passed. Hold on, let's see if I can, right here. Here's a picture of her. I love this one. She's holding a little kitten right here. Hold on. Oh, focus, focus, focus. Well, it's hard to see, but anyways, that's just my story that I wanted to tell you guys, because it's just Shane Dawson's video inspired me to tell you guys about it. So yeah, very sad. She was a really cool girl. It's crazy the way that life works sometimes. It's crazy how easy it is to be charged for a crime that you didn't commit. You know what I mean? And that's what makes me so upset about the situation that Trevor's in right now, because I am fully aware of what happened and what didn't happen, and he's being charged with a lot of things that he didn't do, and there's nothing we can do about it. And just like Catherine, she was charged with something and lost years of her life, and now her whole life, over just very sad, very emotional. If anyone wants to like show some support, she does still have a Facebook page. You can see it on there. But, and I don't, by making this video, I don't mean any disrespect to the families. I don't mean any of it at all. I loved Catherine. She was great to me. She taught me so many life lessons, and she made such a huge impact in my life. I remember when I first met her when I was in jail, and I was pregnant in there, and a lot of people were really mean to me at that time. There was like a whole new crowd there. Usually when I went to jail, it would be like the same people over and over. Who kept coming back, and I knew all of them from outside too. But a lot of people, and then a lot of people were really mean to me too, because I associated with her, and she taught me tough love is what she taught me. She taught me to grow up, to stop treating my parents like crap, to you know, basically like get my life together, because it could be taken away in an instant, just like hers. She was sentenced to prison and spent most of her life there. I mean, it was either 12 or 14 years that she was in there. But anyways, yeah, that's my story, and I love you guys. Bye.